Welcome to Corvette Today, the show that talks about everything Corvette, with your host, Steve Garrett, lifetime member of the National Corvette Museum, president of the Corvette Club of Kansas City, Missouri, and radio disc jockey at the #1 radio station in Kansas City for over 45 years. Here's Steve Garrett.
Thanks for listening and watching Corvette Today, the show that talks about everything Corvette, and the only current podcast dedicated to Corvette. I'm your host, Steve Garrett. I appreciate you tuning in. Corvette Today is brought to you by Wheelcraft. Want to dress up your Corvette with bright chrome or black chrome wheels? Visit wheelcraft.com and learn about their advanced PVD chrome finishing. They can refinish your wheels or offer a wheel exchange for most models, and it comes with a 5-year warranty. Visit wheelcraft.com today or call them at 833-840-5334. You can listen to Corvette Today on all podcast platforms. You can also listen on your smart device. Just say, "Hey Google," or "Alexa, play the podcast called Corvette Today," and you're connected. And be sure to visit the Corvette Today website. It's CorvetteToday.com. You can access everything there, including the Corvette Today merchandise store. You can also join our Corvette Today Facebook group there as well. Also, make sure you sign up for the Corvette Today emails, notifications, and updates at CorvetteToday.ck.page. And if you like YouTube, be sure to subscribe to our Corvette Today YouTube channel. See all Corvette Today episodes on YouTube as well. And be sure to patronize our flagship sponsors of Corvette Today, MidEngineCorvetteForum.com, the forum that focuses on the new mid-engine C8 Corvette. Meet a lot of fellow Corvette enthusiasts like yourself at MidEngineCorvetteForum.com. Soul Performance Products. Developed and manufactured in the United States, the Soul Performance Products exhaust portfolio has been tailored to elevate the experience of the world's most exciting sports cars, including the latest generation of the Corvette. Soul Performance Products at SOULPP.com, the official performance exhaust of Corvette Today. Aerolarri Wheels, a true forged wheel with over 20 unique styles to choose from for your C8 and wide-body versions of the C7, C6, and C5 Corvette. It's an amazing value, starting at only $23.88 for a set of 4 fully forged wheels. And use the promo code CT111 and get $100 off your purchase. Visit Aerolarri.com. That's AEROLARRI.com. And use the promo code CT111 for your $100 discount. Ciocca Corvettes. If you're a Corvette enthusiast, and I know you are since you're listening and watching Corvette Today, then you need to know about Ciocca Corvette. They're based in Atlantic City, where you can find over 100 new and pre-owned vets on the lot and inbound. Ciocca also ships Corvettes all over the country, custom ordered to your specifications. They're staffed with experienced pros who can answer all your questions. So don't compromise. Visit CioccaCorvette.com. That's CIOCCA Corvette.com and find out more. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. E5 Wheels. E5 Wheels is a passionate and dedicated wheel company that serves only Corvette. They make spun-forged wheels for your C8, C7, and C6 Corvette. With the best fitment in the industry, E5 Wheels ensures your wheels complement the aesthetics and functionality while optimizing the performance of your Corvette. Visit e5wheels.com or call them at 305-964-7429. And a shout out to Canadian Corvette Forum and Corvette Forum, welcoming Corvette enthusiasts from around the world. Today's show is a very unique one. This show talks about the very first Corvette ever built in 1953. It's a car that we thought was destroyed, but it has been, I'm going to say, rediscovered by this guest on Corvette Today. His name is Corey Peterson. Corey, welcome to Corvette Today.
Thank you, Steve. It's my pleasure.
I'm glad you're here, buddy. First of all, Corey, you've been researching Corvettes for a long time. Tell me more about your Corvette background.
Well, I've been interested in Corvettes pretty much all of my driving life. When I was a kid, I had a 55 Chevrolet, and I got a 396 engine back in 66. The 427 had just been barely debuted, but I was just elated to have this great big engine, and I was going to put it in a 55 Chevrolet. Well, I got thinking, why would I want to put it in that big and heavy of a car? I looked around, and I found a 57 Corvette for $275.
Wow.
My dream car. And I put that 396 together and made the baddest hot rod a kid could ever have.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Now, how did you come across this 1953 Corvette VIN number 1? Weren't you originally doing some research on early model Corvettes at the time?
Indeed. I like to break up the early Corvettes into two facets. We have the experimental cars and we have the production cars. So in essence, we have three experimental cars that were built from the five 19,000 series chassis. 19,000 was the numerical grouping for the Corvette project before the Corvette name even came about. It was called the Opal Project, if you'll think back. Morris Ollie was contracted to build five chassis. These were the new 102-inch wheelbase chassis. I believe a Harley Earl concept. They built five chassis. They were numbered 852, 853, 854, 855, and 856. Only three of those chassis actually got built into Corvettes, and there are experimental cars or are prototypes. Then we enter into the other next production cars, which are pretty much confined to car number 1 through 9. Now, in the pre-production cars, 852 was built into the Motorama show car, debuted at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. Mm-hmm. That car was a showpiece. That is the car that ultimately ended up getting involved in the famous body burn test. 852 was a secondary show car because they started the Motorama. They didn't have enough vehicle coverage to get the Corvette name out, so they built a second show car to follow the Motorama show that started at Dinner Key in Miami, Florida, and ended up in Kansas City mid-June of 1953. 856 is the third pre-production or experimental car. And 856 is the test mule car that we've all seen pictures, proving ground demonstrations. That's the car that had the holes drilled low in the front fenders to exhaust engine heat. No chrome on it. Very, very basic. A rather utilitarian-looking car with the dog dish hubcaps and the black wheels and tires. We've all seen pictures of that.
Right.
Then we get into the production cars. So we've got the three prototypes or experimentals, however you want to put it. Then we get into the 9 production cars. I can't find anything on number 10. That's why I limited to number 9. Number 1 being assigned to engineering and issued 3950 engineering number. Number 2 was 3951, also a Chevrolet engineering number. Car number 3 also went to engineering, but it was assigned ES 127-2. That's a General Motors engineering number, and it's separate from the Chevrolet engineering cars. Car number 4 was a new car that was sent out to J. Spencer Weed. J. Spencer Weed was a friend of Henry DuPont's daughter who did a lot of equestrian competitions back then. And they showed horses and things of this nature. But J. Spencer Weed, a retailer, he had car number 4. Car number 5 also went to the DuPont estate in Wilmington, and that was to Crawford Greenwald. Crawford Greenwald was the CFO for the DuPont Corporation. He was Henry DuPont's right hand. Car number 6 went to Henry DuPont himself. 3953 was assigned to car number 7. Car number 8 was ES 128-2, and car number 9 was ES 129-3. Now, that gives just a basic background of the placement and the whereabouts of the first 9 production cars and the only 3 completely built prototypes or experimentals.
Yeah.
Have I confused everybody yet?
No problem, buddy. No, I've got it all down. Now, traditionally, GM destroys these early model cars. What do you think happened to this one that it escaped the crusher?
Well, I hear throughout history, people say that General Motors destroyed these early cars. The only reference to destruction is a work order or a General Motors document that calls for EX52 to go to the proving grounds for a burn test. The body was separated from the chassis, and the chassis went back to styling. The top and interior goods, The chassis was stretched and was assigned 857 for the Nomad project. The Corvette Nomad was built on the first experimental chassis after it got stretched and went to styling. Number two, that car, when it was terminated from its use at the Motorama show, they decided rather than having this unsightly 856 test car out at the proving ground without any chrome trim on it, a very crude, coarse-looking car, they chose in December of 53 to pull the body off of 853 and put it onto 856. Now, it said dispose of or scrap the takeoff body of 856, the coarse, crude body. It said to scrap the frame or chassis out of EX53 or 853. 852 show car, 853 show car, respectively got assigned experimental numbers EX52 and EX53. I don't see anywhere where 856 ever got an EX56 VIN number. But if I find a document, I'll change my mind.
There you go. Now, this Corvette was designated number 3950, and it was driven by a few GM executives and then some of the engineers. This was used to be picked apart so they could look for improvements to improve the Corvette while they were already rolling off the line, correct?
Correct, Steve. That's exactly what happened. What they did is the car went directly from the production facility in Flint to the Milford Proving Grounds. Harry Barr took the car and drove it a bit and did a personal comparison of the car 2 days later. I don't have the documents in front of me, but was within the first week after the car was produced and kind of comparing car number 1 with car number 856, the experimental test mule car.
Got it. Now, you went to the GM Heritage Center and you found 22 work orders or changes that were made to number 3950, which is VIN number 1, didn't you?
Let me correct that just a little bit. I managed to get hundreds of documents over the past 15 or 20 years. They were sourced from everywhere on the planet, from people who have done Corvettes and collected information. And yes, some of it was sourced from the Heritage Center through a good friend of mine. These documents have just been really, really helpful. But let's step back just a bit. John Ambwort, he was one of the founding fathers of the National Corvette Restorer Society. Let me include John Ambwort was part owner of 53 Corvette number 3, which was ES 127.
Got it.
John was inspired to do a lot of research on that car. He was able to unearth a tremendous number of documents from a General Motors attorney who was instructed by Jim Perkins. Jim Perkins brought the attorney into his office and he said, with all the pressure that I'm getting from the Corvette community, draft a letter that gets you into any property, any building, any archive, any file cabinet, any holding of General Motors, and see what you can find on Corvette history documents to kind of get the Corvette community off my back. You draft the letter, I'll sign it, and you wear blue jeans and T-shirts to work. So this attorney, he did in fact get this letter. He told me that no one has ever been given that latitude of search within General Motors Corporation. Don't hold me to it, but I think it was in the late 80s when he did that. Now, fast forward, John Ambwort, Les Bieri, and Howard Kirsch find car number 3 for sale when Ed Theobald put it up for sale in Monterey, California in 87. They bought this car at the Monterey auction. What really inspired John to do an in-depth research program, he reached out to this retired attorney and they managed to get a lot of information put together. I got a lot of information from John Ambwort, largely published in the story that got published in the Corvette Restorer magazine in the summer of 93. It's called The Earliest Corvettes. There is a text and document that spell out the history of exactly what I'm telling everyone right now. I'm almost shocked by the people that come up with disputing ideas And it's spelled out in this article. I have researched it, and I haven't been able to find anything that's not correct in that story that was published 30 years ago by John Amport.
Wow. Well, I tell you what, let's take our first break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about this 1953 VIN number 1 Corvette coming up next here on Corvette Today.
We all know that wheels make the car. Wheelcraft's PVD chrome finish in bright chrome or black chrome will take your Corvette to new levels. And it comes with a 5-year warranty. Durability is a defining feature of the Wheelcraft finish. Their PVD chrome is superior to traditional chrome with a finish that is brake dust resistant and cleans effortlessly with soap and water. Wheelcraft offers factory wheel exchange for select C4 through C8 models, or they can apply the PVD finish to your current wheels. No matter what generation you own, Wheelcraft will transform the look of your Corvette. With every Corvette comes a unique story, and Wheelcraft has embraced this idea. When you purchase your new set of wheels, you receive a lifetime membership to the Wheelcraft Pit Crew, granting you access to your own page on Wheelcraft's website, where you can post pictures and tell your Corvette story. Visit our website at wheelcraft.com or call 833-639-4231. Arrive in style with Wheelcraft.
The National Corvette Restored Society is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. 50 years of affirming and promoting the preservation and restoration of the Corvette. 50 years as the foremost Corvette collector car organization for building value with its prestigious awards. Have you ever considered joining NCRS? Over 70,000 people have. We're so much more than just the nuts and bolts. The NCRS flight judging program can and often does increase the value of America's sports car by researching and publishing the leading tech manuals and judging guides for the 1953 through 2007 Corvettes, by training the best judges, and by hosting local, regional, and national judging events. And when you join, you'll get award-winning magazines like Corvette Restore and Driveline all throughout the year. Joining is simple and easy. Just go to ncrs.org and sign up. There are NCRS chapters all throughout the U.S. and all around the world. Chances are there's a local chapter near you. So join NCRS today at ncrs.org. We come for the Corvettes. We stay for the friendships made along the way.
When you want to buy a Corvette, or any Chevrolet for that matter, get yours from Hendrick Chevrolet Shawnee Mission, located in Kansas City. Hendrick Chevrolet is the largest Corvette dealership and showroom in the Midwest. With a knowledgeable sales staff and Corvette sales specialists on hand, they'll help you build the Corvette of your dreams, and they ship nationwide. With Corvette certified master mechanics on site and a huge parts department with over 24,000 parts and $2 million in inventory, Hendrick Chevrolet is well equipped to take care of your every need. From sales to service to collision repair, Hendrick Chevrolet has you covered. Visit ChevyUSA.com or call 913-384-1550.
This is the Corvette Today podcast with Steve Garrett.
Thanks for checking out Corvette Today on podcast and YouTube. It's the only current podcast dedicated to Corvette. Corvette Today is brought to you by Wheelcraft. You want your Corvette looking its best, don't you? Well, dress it up with bright chrome or black chrome wheels. Visit wheelcraft.com and learn about their advanced PVD chrome finishing. They can refinish your wheels or do a wheel exchange, and you get a 5-year warranty too. So visit wheelcraft.com today or give them a call, 833-639-4231. I'm your host, Steve Garrett. With me is Corey Peterson. Corey owns VIN number 1 Corvette from 1953. In this second segment, we're going to talk more about this car. Corey, originally you found this car in a shop in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it was owned by somebody on the West Coast. Now, this Corvette was originally thought to be VIN number 2, but it actually turned out with these 22 different changes that were suggested to be made on the Corvette, it actually was VIN number 1, wasn't it?
That's what my research ultimately proved out. The car was the Lloyd Miller's shop in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The previous owner of the car was actually on the East Coast. He knew that Lloyd Miller had done a complete restoration on car number 3. Lloyd was the one that restored car number 3 for Les Bieri, Howard Kirsch, and John Amport, and he knew the car intimately. So this fellow who got the car I own now, and he in his heart believed that it was car number 2 when he found it. And it was based on good sound research on his part. Well, the car gets to Lloyd's place. Lloyd gets started on it, and the car gets disassembled, the paint and stripped down to bare fiberglass alike. The owner's daughter took ill. It shifted gears for him. His daughter ultimately passed away, I'm sorry to say. But he kind of shelved the car. The car got pushed off to the side in Lloyd Miller's place and basically forgotten about. Lloyd had put the word out to those of us who are interested and curious about the early cars and said, the owner thinks it's car number 2. I'm not convinced that it is. He said, I would like all of you guys who have researched some of this stuff, when you get a chance, come and look at the car and offer your opinion. Laura Thunberg, who has since passed away, a very good friend of mine, he and I used to do a lot of research work together. And Lauren went to Tulsa. John went to Tulsa. We all had a chance to see the car and offer our opinion of what we thought we saw. But I picked up on something that neither John nor Lauren picked up on. The floors under the seats had been lowered. It looked like they had been cut out, and maybe an access door was the initial impression that everybody was getting. But I had remembered looking through a document about 3950, and it called for other items, have the seat bolster lowered an inch and a quarter and free A point 3/4 of an inch. And I'm thinking the floor looks to be lowered right at 1/4 of an inch. Mm-hmm. I reached out to a design staff engineer for General Motors, friend of mine, and I said, in styling, what is the A point for seat placement? He says it's the platform that the seat sits on. The floor. We did seat lowering. That's what really got me convinced that 3950 was car number 1.
Yeah, also the fuel door was redesigned. Talk about that for just a quick second.
Okay. Part that confused me was when I was looking at the fuel door configuration, it was the type you would see on late 53 and 54 run, where the gas door lid lifts up and over the top of the fender. The early design 53 folded down into the cavity of the gas filler box, and it obstructed access to the filler cap. This had the later design, and I thought that should not be on car number 1. Well, as I got looking back through documents, I found the document that says installed new design gas filler box and hinge cover assembly on car 3950. That was just a confirmation smoking gun for me, quite frankly.
Yeah. And the amazing thing is this car sat in Lloyd Miller's shop in Tulsa, Oklahoma for almost 20 some odd years, didn't it?
That is correct. When the previous owner's daughter took ill, his interest shifted. Quite honestly, Lloyd and the previous owner lost contact for that 20-year period.
Wow. The other funny story that I think is really amazing is talk about how you found the VIN plate for this car.
I went to Oklahoma, gathered everything up. The car was still apart, loaded that up in the car. I started digging through what I got, what I don't have, what I need to get. There was no engine or transmission. I emptying out this one cardboard box, and I could hear nuts and bolts, little things rattling around in there. I dumped it upside down on the floor. And then I pulled the flaps up, and underneath one of the flaps was the VIN number. I think I was shaking like a leaf, It was just an amazing find.
That's really amazing. And you bought the car from the original East Coast owner and then got it from Lloyd Miller's place in Tulsa back to your home in Salt Lake City, correct?
Yes. In essence, I had to buy it from each of them. I didn't know how to sneak up on the previous owner. I certainly didn't want to play down the importance of the car. I first approached him. I said, you have this that's obviously a unique early car. The car really should be moved forward, should be put together. If you're lacking anything for putting it together, I'd sure like to network with you and help you get everything you need to get the car put back together. Mm-hmm. He didn't express much interest. And I said, well, the other side of that would be if you're ready to pass the torch, I would be the keeper of the car if you could come to terms with it. I think I would sell. And so based on that, I had to approach the body shop owner, restoration shop owner for the storage and a balance on the car. And I certainly had to pay the previous owner. So I bought it from both.
That's interesting. Well, Corey, let's take our final break. When we come back, we're going to talk about your plans for VIN number 1 from 1953. Coming up next here on Corvette Today.
Are you ready for a better insurance policy without the Corvette tax? With Agreed Value Protection, the value of your collector vehicle will never change. Plus, you'll save money. Get a quick quote at ncminsurance.com.
Hey, honey, are you awake?
I am now.
I can't sleep. Since turning 50, I keep dreaming of a red door and a blue door, somehow knowing there are only choices for retirement.
Okay.
Through the red door, we outlive our money. We have to rely on our kids. We're stuck on a fixed income. It's terrifying.
Yeah, that would suck.
But through the blue door, our money outlives us. We retire on our terms. Our kids stay our kids, not our caretakers. We make work optional.
Yes, that's much better. That's what I want too. But what do we do?
We call True Wealth & Company at 913-653-8783. They specialize in helping successful people make work optional. They're our fiduciary Blue Door personal wealth managers.
Hey, where are you going? It's 3 a.m.
I can't sleep. I'm going to check out True Wealth & Company online at retirewithtrue.com. That Blue Door is going to be our retirement.
913-653-8783. Visit us online at retirewithtrue.com. Investment advice offered through True Wealth & Company, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of Kansas.
VetFinders.com is the Internet's original Corvette classified ads website, with classified ads starting at just $25. And every ad runs until your Corvette is sold. If you're in the market for a Corvette, VetFinders.com has over 500 Corvettes for sale from all around the USA and Canada and covering all 8 generations. Visit VetFinders.com, the Internet's destination for buying and selling Corvettes. That's VETTE Finders.com.
Rev up your ride with the ultimate upgrade. The Radiator Grill Store is your go-to destination for top-notch C8 Corvette Stingray, Z06, and E-Ray accessories. Elevate your style with custom-painted engine bay covers, sleek front splitters, and side skirts that scream sophistication. Keep your C8 protected with premium Radiator Grill screens. Stand out from the crowd at car shows and beyond. Use code CT10 for an exclusive 10% discount off your total purchase at RadiatorGrillStore.com. Don't miss out on turning heads. Upgrade your Corvette today.
And now, back to Corvette Today with your host and my husband, Steve Garrett.
Thanks once again for listening and watching Corvette Today, the show that talks about everything Corvette. Corvette Today is brought to you by Wheelcraft. You want your Corvette looking its best? Well, dress it up with bright chrome or black chrome wheels. Visit wheelcraft.com and learn about their advanced PVD chrome finishing. They can refinish your wheels or do a wheel exchange, and you get a 5-year warranty. So visit wheelcraft.com today or give them a call, 833-639-4231. I'm your host, Steve Garrett. With me is Corey Peterson. Corey owns the 1953 VIN number 1 Corvette. In this third and final segment, we're going to talk about Corey's plans for the car. Corey, you're going to do a full restoration on this car. How's that going to go?
Well, what I want to do, there's a lot of people that are curious about the origin of the car. I like for people to see it in its raw form. Mm-hmm. When I got the car from Lloyd Miller's shop in Tulsa, the car was stripped down to bare fiberglass. I found an appropriate engine. I had the original information on what the engine should say. I went ahead and did, in essence, a restoration engine for the car and a transmission that was out of a 54 Corvette that's functional. It's not dated right, but it serves the purpose of getting the car out and about for people to see. Those who are doubters and naysayers, I want them to physically look it over and see it before anything gets sugar-coated. I suspect that I'll move forward with a restoration, but there's no real hurry. It's never too late to paint a car.
There you go. So what does this car need in order to get it back to its original form?
Well, that's another thing that's a bit of a question. I am choosing to leave every 3950 identifiable modification intact on the car. I think it would be a gross mistake to undo those changes to get it back as it would have been as it rolled off the assembly line back in June 30th, 1953. Mm-hmm. I think it would destroy some of the heritage of the car. So I'm going to leave those few changes that are subtle from appearances. And some of these changes ultimately got entered into the assembly line, and they made these changes on all the subsequent builds of the cars.
Gotcha. I know you have no time frame or timeline for the restoration of this car. What are your plans for the car after you've done the restoration?
I don't know. Look for something better. I've had a lot of people say, what do you do after this?
Yeah.
I love all Corvettes. I just acquired a 63 split window, and it's the epitome of what we would want for a luxury cruiser. I've launched a restoration. My friend Rex Marshall is restoring the car for me. It's a black red interior 63 coupe with power steering, power windows, power glide transmission, and air conditioning. I've got the window sticker. I've got the shipping documents. I've got every piece of paper with it. The owner's manual, the air conditioning operation manual. It's just a stunning project, Pete.
That's awesome. The 63 split window is what got me into Corvettes when I was a little boy, so I'm anxious to see that restoration. Now, is John Angworth going to work with you on this 53 VIN number 1 car?
John Angworth is part owner of the car with me. We have worked together. Every aspect of this car, every minute of it has been shared with John, or John has shared with me. We've worked on it collectively.
That's wonderful. Well, Corey, thank you so much for being on Corvette Today. I appreciate your time. All the best of luck with this VIN number 1 from 1953.
Steve, thank you. It's been my pleasure.
Thanks again for listening and watching Corvette Today. And be sure to tell your family, friends, and other Corvette enthusiasts about the Corvette Today show. And thanks to our sponsors, Wheelcraft. Want to dress up your Corvette with bright chrome or black chrome wheels? Visit wheelcraft.com to learn about their advanced PVD chrome finishing. They can refinish your wheels or offer a wheel exchange for most models, and it comes with a 5-year warranty. Visit wheelcraft.com today or call 833-639-4231. Soul Performance Products at SOULPP.com, the official performance exhaust of Corvette Today. Ciocca Corvette at CIOCCA-Corvette.com. E5 Wheels at E5Wheels.com. True Wealth and Company at RetireWithTrue.com. Also, Aerolarri Wheels. Get $100 off your purchase with the new promo code CT111 at Aerolarri.com. And Hendrick Chevrolet in Kansas City at ChevyUSA.com.
Thanks for checking out Corvette Today on podcast and YouTube. If you'd like to contact Steve with ideas for Corvette Today, you can email him at stevegarrettdj@gmail.com. Garrett has 2 R's and 2 T's. That's stevegarrettdj@gmail.com. Also, sign up for email notifications at corvettetoday.ck.page. Follow Steve and the show on social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Threads at Steve Garrett DJ. Thanks again for listening and watching Corvette Today.